Unsure what prep work you need or what work needs to be done before painting? Stick around as we get into that in the question of the day. What's going on, guys? Matt in the hat, Matt Johnson Real Estate, powered by Keller Williams Diamond Partners. You are tuned in to the hot list. I come to y'all Monday through Friday every single week, and we hang out, we talk real estate. We talk properties new to the market, had a recent price reduction, or something unique about the property I want to share with y'all, want y'all to know about the property. I also answer a question of the day that is submitted by a listener of the show, and finally recognize and thank a sponsor of the week each and every week. So the property we're talking about today is new to the market. The address is 1021 Walnut Street, right here in Emporia. It's a 3-bed, one and a half bath house. It's got 1,486 square feet of finished space, currently listed for $137,500, courtesy of Advantage Realty Group. This house, very cool, just recently been updated. It's a 2-story house. A little bit interesting because it has a shared garage, something that you don't normally see. It's got new paint on the inside, new exterior paint. It's got new carpets and a new roof as well. You'll see some of the hardwood floors throughout. Got a nice deck and patio area out back, as well as a front porch. Front porch on this is very cool. Covered front porch for those early sunrises. So if you have any questions about the property, want to see it for yourself, all you got to do is just click on the link in the description. While it's still available, it'll take you right to my website and you can see the house for yourself. Before I get into the question of the day, I do want to recognize and thank our sponsor of the week this week, and that is Mark II Lumber right here in Emporia. They do phenomenal work, like I mentioned earlier this week. They have over a 10,000 square foot showroom. They've got 40,000 feet of covered storage for materials and lumber. They are currently right now looking for a full-time salesperson and counter help as well. So all you got to do, if you click on the link in the description, it'll take you right to the Facebook page, and you can contact them. It's got the phone number, email address. You can contact them and go to the physical location, which is 825 East 6th Avenue, or since they have their email address on there, you can email a resume as well and apply within. So if you guys have any questions, all you gotta do is just check them out and click on that link. The question of the day is submitted by a listener of the show, and I answer a question Monday through Friday each and every week. So if you have a question that you would like answered and on the show as well, all you got to do is just shoot me a message wherever you're listening to this. It'll get to me. I'll be happy to answer that question for you, as well as get it on the podcast. Is there anything that I need to do before painting? Those of you that know me and know me well know that this is one thing I am not allowed to do in this house. Lisa does all the painting. We've done some. I'm sure you guys have seen some of the pictures on Facebook, and we're not alone. There's still a lot of people that are tackling do-it-yourself projects like this. Some are necessary projects that maybe have been delayed. Others are looking to simply pass the time and avoid boredom. Regardless of your reason, if you're looking to get your painting on, we're going to talk about 6 things to consider when doing a DIY paint job. Now, a lot of these I've done some research. I've also talked to my dad, my father-in-law, and of course my wife, who does the painting, because again, I'm not allowed to do it. So there's some things in here I'm allowed to do, and the first one is one of the few things I'm allowed to do, which is measure first. Remember, a can of paint is only going to go so far, so it's important to know how much you need or how much is needed before you buy it. I've made this mistake before. I've made it plenty of times, and that's why our living room as well as our hallway are, they're a little bit lighter than one another, and that's, my mistake, my fault. Most of the paint colors are mixed, no secret, but it's no guarantee that the paint mixed at different times is going to look exactly the same. On average, a can of paint covers about 400 square feet, and this differs based on the paint type as well as some other factors, as far as if you're using like a Kills that has a primer and paint in one or multiple coats. So begin with measuring the width and the height of each wall, multiply that gives you the area. And if you're going to paint the ceiling as well, make sure you include that in the measurement. Once you know exactly how much surface area you're going to need to cover, you can check the specific paint that you're wanting to use and just see what is recommended, as far as how many coats and what area and what size it'll cover. So buy accordingly and buy enough to do some touch-ups just in case. Number 2 on the list, make a single trip. While everything is opening back up right now and people are getting back out and about, this doesn't mean that you stop respecting the social distance rules, sanitizing, and wearing a mask. Figure out what you need, make yourself a list. That way you don't deviate, you get in, you get out, and this allows for just making one trip. Like I said, just wear a mask, avoid getting too close to people, and I would recommend going at slower times when it is less crowded. Number 3 on the list is one of the other things I'm allowed to do, prepping the rooms. Don't underestimate the importance of this step. Fill any holes, whether it's from nails, from screws, from anchors, whatever the case may be. Sand down any rough surfaces and take the time to clean the area off. Wash the surfaces that you're going to paint. Usually, if you just use some warm soapy water, just wipe it down at least 1 to 2 days before you're going to be looking at painting. That way it has enough time to dry and there's no moisture left on the walls. What's not being painted, I still would recommend cleaning, whether it's your baseboards, your ceiling, other surfaces, because this is going to eliminate cobwebs, dirt, dust from getting into the paint and messing up your freshly painted surfaces. Also, remove any outlet covers, light switch plates, anything else that's going to be attached to the wall so you can get it out of the way. Once the room is ready, use the appropriate primer to coat everything that you're going to paint before you start painting. So just wanted to throw that in there. Number 4 on the list, paint in proper order. It's tempting to start on the walls. That's part of the reason I am not allowed to paint, because I start on the walls and just go around. This turns out a mistake when you are working on painting. Starting on the walls can make it more difficult in the long run, as I've been told. Start with, if you're going to be painting your baseboards, it is recommended to start with baseboards, then move to windows, trim, door frames, and ceilings. Once all of these are painted, make sure you give it plenty of time to dry. Once it's dried, I don't have to tell you guys that it's going to take several hours for it to dry, but once it's dried, just use some painter's tape all around all of that, and then once everything is taped up, then you can get into painting the walls without having to worry about getting any paint on the baseboard, your window, door frames, anything else that's going to be painted. Since you're going to paint the walls anyways, if you get some on the walls from painting the trim or the ceiling, it's going to be painted over anyways, so not a huge deal. Number 5, working with tape. Putting down painter's tape is easy, which is why I am allowed to do this. Pulling it back up while it can be frustrating, uh, again, I'm also allowed to do this as well, just because I have the patience to do this. A lot of people don't think about it, but when you pull up that tape, it may take some paint from the walls, because when you're painting, you're going to be overlapping a lot of times with a roller brush. You're going to be overlapping onto that tape. So pulling it off, you may take some paint with it, and that leaves the edges uneven. So before pulling that tape, what you want to do is take a utility knife and just cut at the edge of the trim or the tape surface. That way you've got a nice clean cut, clean break there, and make sure that the paint has dried for at least a few hours, maybe even a day, depending on what you've had to do. This ensures that the paint isn't soft or like gummy or sticky when you pull that tape off, so that paint won't come with it. And finally, number 6, give yourself time. I'm sure one thing that y'all didn't want me to say is it's going to take time. You gotta give it time. Allow yourself a few days per room, depending on the condition and what all prep work is needed by room, uh, because time is needed to prep the surfaces that you're going to paint. You've got the prep, you've got the time for the primer to dry, and then additional time for the paint itself to dry. That's not just going to take minutes. That's going to take hours and possibly days, again, depending on the condition. If multiple coats are needed on the walls or on the trim baseboards, that time is going to add up, going to take even longer. By taking a little extra time, it's going to give a more professional look, more professional results as well, and it's going to have a even coverage and those clean edges we talked about with that tape. Once it's all dried, start by replacing anything that was removed, the light switch covers, outlet covers, anything else that you pulled off the walls, and give yourself a couple days before trying to clean the newly painted surface. Just make sure that it's dried long enough, well enough, that if there's anything that's stuck on there, just take a damp cloth and just wipe it down, or take a microfiber cloth and wipe it down as well. So that's it. Those are the 6 things to consider if you're going to be looking at getting your paint on. So number one of the things I'm allowed to do, measure first, because a can of paint's only going to go so far. So make sure you measure so you know how much to buy. Number 2, making a single trip. I know everything's opening back up and people are starting to get out and about. Just make a single trip, reduce your exposure, and come back and get rolling. Number 3, prep the rooms. Fill any holes, sand any rough surfaces, and take the time to clean it all afterwards, 1 to 2 days before you're looking at painting. Number 4, paint in a proper order. Don't just start with the walls and then go from there. Start with the baseboard, the trim, your windows, your ceiling, and then move on to the walls. That way, if anything is painted on the walls or spills onto the walls while you're painting the others, walls are going to get painted anyways, so not a big deal. Number 5, working with the tape. Put down some painter's tape. Like I said, it's pretty easy. Pulling it back off can be frustrating if you don't take the time to take a utility knife and go and score it along the edge of the trim or the tape. And finally, number 6, making sure that you are giving yourself plenty of time to do this per room, because depending on the condition and the amount of paint required, can take several hours up to maybe even a day per room. So by taking the time, slowing down, gives this a more professional look, even coverage, and those nice clean edges that you're looking for. So that is going to do it for me today in the hot list. So thanks for watching with Matt in the Hat, Matt Johnson Real Estate, powered by Keller Williams Diamond Partners. I do this because your experience matters and should be trusted with a veteran. Y'all have an awesome day and tune in tomorrow. Take care.